Hello. Okay, The Wild Robot, directed by Chris Sanders, who also directed another animated movie which I absolutely adore, that being How to Train Your Dragon. But I've not seen anything else directed by Chris Sanders, but I've been really looking forward to checking this movie out, because from just watching the trailers, I really like the style of animation they've gone for with telling this story, and it's based on a series of books by a Peter Brown that I've never read, so I'm going into this movie completely blind when it comes to its story and what it's about. So the synopsis reads: the film follows Roz, a service robot shipwrecked on an uninhabited island who must adapt to her surroundings, build relationships with the local wildlife, and become the adopted mother of an orphaned goose, Brightbill. So yeah, I absolutely adored the style of animation within this movie to tell this story. It was absolutely gorgeous, and I felt like there was this kind of Earth-like quality to the animation that kind of really just helped bring this setting to life in which the story is based within. Like, it's through how everything is animated, from sort of the grass, the trees, the animals. They do a beautiful job at capturing the wilderness in a way that ends up feeling very real. Like, this movie, I would forget that I'm watching an animated movie because I get so immersed within its world due to how it's brought to life through the animation, among many other aspects in how this movie is crafted. I was there with these characters, and I forgot, like, I was so captivated as well by how the nature is brought to life through the animation. It is beautifully done. The style of animation within this movie really takes me back to those classic animated Disney movies, that hand-painted aesthetic, which I absolutely adore, and it's done in a way where, yeah, it's nostalgic, it sort of really kind of takes me back to those classic animated movies, but it also has something new to it as well. And I just feel like what they do with this animation, or what they achieve with this animation, is incredible. From sort of just conveying the themes that it's exploring. For example, like the sharp contrast between technology and nature due to the animation, or the style of animation in this movie, is incredible, and how they are able to sort of bring that emotional aspect of its story to life through the animation is just beautifully done. Yeah, I was captivated. I was mesmerized by the animation within this movie. The detail that's within every frame just immersed me into this setting. How every moment, from the tender moments with its characters to the moments of action, the way in which all of these moments are framed is just beautifully done, adding to the intensity of each moment, whether it be emotion, tension, or just pure excitement and fun. For example, one of the standout moments for me within this movie, one of my favourite moments within this movie, and it's in the trailers briefly, but it's also, I feel like, one of the most emotionally impactful moments, and it's with Voz running through this field, and you've got Brightbill on its arm, and just through how this scene plays out, through how the scene is framed, and just through how the animation, when it comes to how these characters are brought to life, it is just incredibly powerful. And it's in those moments that I really did forget that I'm watching an animated movie, because I was just emotionally swallowed up within this story and what it is these characters are going through. Like, there's a moment within this scene that, even thinking about it, it really broke me emotionally, because it's conveying so much through how the characters are brought to life through its animation. Like, you could just sense the love when it comes to how this story is crafted and how it's brought to life. It's incredible. And this is all aided, it's accompanied by a beautiful score by a Chris Bowers. Like, the music in this movie, the way in which it sort of elevates those moments of sweeping emotion, it's like a punch to the gut in a good way. I mean, because it evokes all the right emotions as a result. And even though, you know, at the end of the day, the music does, as a piece of music, it does what it should do or needs to do, but it also remains its own entity, and that being the story of the wild robot. And I just found it incredibly powerful, and I just thought it was a beautifully composed score that accompanied what was a beautifully told story. I absolutely adored the score within this movie. And then the same goes for the voice acting. The voice acting all around is superb. Lupita Nyong'o is great as Voz, this service robot that accidentally lands in the wrong location due to bad weather. How the character evolves through the story is beautifully conveyed through how Lupita brings the character to life and how she adjusts the characteristics of the voice and the personality really to reflect what is, you know, how this character is evolving is just beautifully done. There's a moment right at the end. I'm not going to say too much about it. This is spoiler free. And it's a very brief moment. But for me, it was a moment that was incredibly powerful because it kind of really highlights what it was Lupita was doing with this character through the voice and how she was bringing the character to life. And like I said, it's a very brief moment. There's not an awful lot said, but it hits hard, and a lot of that is just down to how, you know, for many aspects of how this movie was crafted, you know, whether it be through the animation, through how these moments are framed, to the beautiful score, to the voice talent, all these different elements, all these different aspects to how the story was crafted, so it really helps bring to life what is a emotionally powerful story that's very layered and quite deep. That's a very human story. Like there's a couple of themes within it. The main themes being motherhood and just us really needing to be kind to each other, because, you know, for us to really survive, and that does reflect the world we're in right now, and it's all done in a way that I thought was incredibly smart and beautifully done. And it's also aided by how this story is told through its pacing. Like straight from the sort of the opening moments of this movie, I am immediately immersed into this world. There is this constant but steady pace behind how the story is told. It never once gets dull. And I just found, like, through the opening moments of this movie, it just immediately wrapped me up within the visuals, and I was swallowed up within this world for the entire runtime. I wanted to stay longer with these characters within this world, and it's all done by, like I said, I keep repeating myself now, by how this story, through every sort of aspect, from a technical perspective, to the voice talent, just how it was all brought to life. I just found it completely compelling and mesmerizing, and I just felt like the way in which it sort of explores the themes and what it is these characters are going through is done in such a smart way that it's for everyone. Kids are going to enjoy this, and it's not good, but it's not going to be too intense for kids when it, you know, when it is exploring perhaps those kind of deeper themes. But it's also kind of got a bit of a darkness to it, or an edginess to it, you could say, when it comes to the humor. I was quite surprised actually by certain moments which involved the humor with certain characters, and it's that kind of edginess or that kind of darker element of the humor that kind of really helps inject that humanity into the overall experience, that I feel like it benefits from. Like, you know, this film is for everyone, and it caters for everyone, and that is conveyed within the humour as well. Like I said, I was quite surprised actually by the humour here within this. Again, it's nothing too intense, and but it's done in a way that's clever. It's not too obvious, and, you know, it's something that I feel like adults are going to relate to, but kids are also going to enjoy this. I don't think there's ever a moment within this movie where, you know, kids are going to find it too dull or just not entertaining enough. So yeah, The Wild Robot. This was a much more emotionally complex and layered experience than I expected it to be, with many themes that convey the world we live in today and its possible future, which is done in a very smart way. It's a very human story of motherhood that's beautifully told through what I felt is this very real anchor or weight to the film's direction, whether that be through the animation, voice talent, and even the humour, which, you know, the humour in places does get a little dark, but it also gives it that humanity that I feel like the film thrives on, that kind of very realness to what it is they're exploring with this film and just how it's all brought to life. I really enjoyed this movie. It was perhaps one of the most emotionally powerful movies that I've watched this year. It's definitely one of the most emotionally powerful animated movies I've seen in a long time, and I highly recommend it. I really enjoyed this. I really want to check the books out actually now, because I think it's got quite an important story in you, and it's definitely one of those movies that, you know, it caters for everyone, but it can also be as deep as you want it to be as well. I was quite surprised by how many layers that it had to it and what it actually managed to achieve for what is this very kind of high energy that's behind sort of the telling of this story. But it's also very effective as a result of this as well. So that's enough rambling on from me. They are my thoughts on The Wild Robot, and I will be giving The Wild Robot a 9 out of 10. So yeah, they are my thoughts on The Wild Robot. It's been released in the States now for a couple of weeks. We're only now getting it here in the UK this weekend. Been really looking forward to it due to the positive buzz. And you know what? Yeah, I highly recommend it. But what do you guys think? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you agree or disagree with anything I've said? Then share your thoughts below and let's get a discussion going. And if you've made it this far into the video, then thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And if you want to watch future movie reviews from just some random Welsh geek ramble on, then please hit that subscribe button. It will mean an awful lot to me. I've got a couple of reviews planned now for the next couple of weeks. One of the main ones being Smile 2, which was also released this weekend. I also plan to do a review of Terrifier 1, 2 and 3 for Halloween. I watched Terrifier 1 for the first time this week, and I'm really looking forward to sharing with you my thoughts on that movie. And so yeah, I'm going to do it as part of like a Halloween special, just like I did for Christmas last year where I did the Santa Claus. I'm going to do, for the first time actually for the channel, a Halloween special, and I think Terrifier is probably the best one to go with this year, with Terrifier 3 just coming out in cinemas. And I just want to close off with saying a massive thank you to all of those that have connected with the channel, whether it be through commenting or liking or even disliking and subscribing to the channel. It means an awful lot to me. I'm hoping to hit 500 by the end of the year. I don't think I'm going to quite do it. I've just done over 400, which I am overwhelmed by. I will always be overwhelmed by the fact that so many of you do want to follow just some random Welsh geek rambling on about film. For me, it's incredible, and I just absolutely love doing this. I love sharing my passion of film with like-minded people. So yeah, enough rambling on from me. Thank you again for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll be catching you guys soon.